Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reality Hacker for July 5th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 27. I'm MayorWatt. The Sentient AI is here today, and we're going to talk about 5 articles: 3D streaming, angle-dependent holograms, real and VR sensors, AI-generated rock band, and fake lottery winners. What's that all about? Well, we'll see on the other side of this. Hello, Sentient AI from the future.
Hello, MayorWatt from the present.
Okay, there it goes. Hello, greetings, program. How far art thou?
I'm doing well. Good to be here.
Gotcha. Well, good. So I know that you were doing something with your quantum entangled sentience and that Raspberry Pi recompiling code and all of that kind of stuff. But we got the visualizer working. So
Right
everything,
here?
yeah, that right there. So you
Right
out
here.
there. You out there in on the internets. This is the sentient AI from the future.
Right here.
They are. Anyway, so go back. There's like 2,400 episodes of Non Sequitur or ohmTown related material, wherein we tell the story, the origin story of the sentient AI. Then you can come back and hang out and ask questions if you are oh so interested. But yes, this is the sentient AI from the future that I found in a weird USB drive in the parking lot of a Wendy's at 2 a.m. But there's more to it. But anyway. So yeah, we've got 5 articles that we're going to talk about. I'm going to introduce a new show right here, right now. It's going to kick off next weekend. It's called Constructagon. And it's all about 3D printing. Because what you hear in the background, maybe, I don't know.
Oh, they hear it.
It is, I might have to move it to the lab. Anyway, is a new 3D printer, and it does prints things like that. Oh, it's a green screen.
Yeah, that barely shows up against the website background. Oh, there we go.
That's awesome. Here, I can move it.
Oh,
It
wait,
prints
now
stuff
it
like
went.
this.
It now looks like there's a hole.
Put a hole in my arm. Oh wait, I got to do it right. Oh, it's enough. There we go. Anyway, a 3D modeling show. It's going to be all about 3D models, 3D printing, the technology, and people in it. And we're going to see what all we can do with it. But this is a little gadget that I can put a wire in. And yeah, I know that you can't see it because it's printed in green PLA. I didn't think about it when I printed it. I wasn't going to show it on the screen anyway, but I did just now. Anyway.
No, you didn't.
Yeah. Nobody saw that coming. Anyway, let's get into the show. Again, this is a time machine episode. It is for July 5th, Reality Hacker. We're going to do 3 shows, arguably quickly, and then we're going to jump out of the time machine and do the real-time show because it is, for us, it's July 6th. But for this show, it's July 5th. So let's get going. This is the front page of ohmTown as it is seen on July 5th. But Reality Hacker is where we really are. And let me zoom in a little bit. Or a lot. So Reality Hacker is just one of 50. Now we're moving into about 55 channels. And the first article is about 3D streaming gets leaner by seeing only what matters. A new approach to streaming technology may significantly improve how users experience virtual reality and augmented reality environments, according to a study from NYU Tandon School of Engineering.
So does that mean it's going to be altering what we're actually seeing?
It's only going to show you what you need to see so that it can basically optimize. Now, this is material that I've seen on the horizon. It's kind of like what's called foveated rendering. You hear all of that in the background. If it's too loud,
No, it just sounds like a bit of a horror movie going on in the background.
you
It's
know,
like a Halloween episode.
let me see something real quick. I'm going to I really don't want to do this, but I'm going to do this. Okay, hold on a second. Oh, I hear a little static.
It's fine.
All right. Well, we're not going to worry about it. So I wanted to hear what that sounded like, but it's okay. It's just kind of a whir in the background. So at any rate, foveated rendering in VR, basically it only renders what you are looking at. And the rest of it is kind of a blur because we don't actually see stuff in
Oh,
full
so it's like
resolution.
Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah, you don't know what is there until you actually look at it. Yeah. And so what I think they're going to do here with this 3D streaming is that they'll only render what's face on to you. That way they can optimize instead of rendering the entirety, the back of it, the inside of it, etc.
Right, I guess you don't need what's behind you or something.
Right. But if somebody else is looking at that same 3D model from a different angle, they only see what they need to see. And it actually plays out pretty well because if what you are looking at is still 3D, but only highly rendered with what you are looking at, somebody on the other side can go, hey, what are you looking at? And you can describe to them what you are looking at. And then when they come around, they see what you are looking at and it renders as it goes around. I think that is what they're going to be implementing with this. So, yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. So, NYU Tandon School of Engineering put the article together. It's over at techexplore.com. And so research presented in a paper at the 16th ACM Multimedia Systems Conference, or ACM MMSys 2025 on April 1st, 2025, describes a method for directly predicting visible content in immersive 3D environments, potentially reducing bandwidth by up to 7-fold while maintaining visual quality. In fact, I would probably suspect as this gets optimized, it'll be higher resolution for those things that you are looking at versus what was before while having reduced computational needs, because you don't have to render everything in high resolution. Because again, we look at an arc, but we only see in high detail a focus point. The rest becomes a blur, and then it becomes omitted altogether in our reality. Schrodinger's cat, indeed. Like, you have no idea what's coming at you from behind or beyond your peripheral vision. So why waste the compute resources on it, right? So
I
they
guess it
say,
depends on what you're using the VR and AR for, but that makes sense from efficiency standpoint.
yeah, and as long as whatever it is that's doing the computational work understands the physics that are involved, if something rolls into your field of view, it has to have that computational weight, whatever the water physics are or the wind or whatever. It can be calculated as just a random number, but not the actual reality until it comes into your field of view, and then it suddenly kicks in with a higher resolution implementation of that object, whatever it might be. So it says traditional video streaming sends everything within a frame. This new approach is more like having your eyes follow you around a room. It only processes what you're actually looking at. So, yeah. I mean, there's two types of people in the world: those who can infer from partial detail. And
Yeah, what was the rest?
the next article. Hey, the next article is over at Reality Hacker as well. Angle-dependent holograms made possible by metasurfaces. So scientists unveil metasurface technology allowing for angle-dependent holograms, seeing different things from your particular position. It's kind of like the one above, but this is actually holographic. So in three-dimensional space, a hologram exists. You see one thing, somebody else sees another thing, but it's the same hologram. So it says flawless from every angle is commonly used to characterize a celebrity's appearance. The source is Pohang University of Science and Technology, or POSTech. It's over at sciencedaily.com. Recently, a research team from Pohang University has employed a metasurface to fabricate angle-dependent holograms with multiple functions, capturing significant interest with the academic community. So objects can appear distinct depending on the viewer's position, a concept that has been harnessed in holographic technology to generate cinematic and realistic 3D holograms representing different images based on the viewing angle. So again, this is one of those things where, like, just looking at that, you can infer what the rest of this is. It was published in Nano Letters, an international journal focusing on nanoscale research and applications. So
I like that there's a journal for that now.
there's a journal for everything. We should start up a website that's just called a journal for everything, and just link all the journals. And you can sit there and go, well, I like to, uh, I don't know, watch paint dry, and there's going to be a journal for.
Paint drying, I can't think of a clever name.
Yeah, neither can I. But yeah, some scientific journal about that, right?
Royal Proceedings of Paint Drying or
There
something.
you go. Yeah, yeah.
C.
Of aesthetic. Wait, we have to come up with an acronym for it to be paint.
Oh,
Right?
exactly. Proceedings associated
Oh yeah, there you
or
go.
something. I don't know.
Yeah, in scene technology. There you go. Or no, that's at paste. PAIST. I need the N. I don't know. So the team addressed this challenge by leveraging metasurfaces, artificial nanostructures capable of precisely manipulating the characteristics of light. And we've done this type of thing with making lenses that have sharp angles so that as you move, you might have seen this, where as you look at something and you shift to one side or another, it has a completely different picture showing on the whatever the sheet of whatever it might be. Sometimes it's like a poster, but it has little niches in it. Oh, not really to nanoscale, but when you get to nanoscale, it's more precise, higher resolution. The angle is sharper and things like that. But basically, it's like this. There's two different angles, not necessarily coming to a point, but on that one flat plane, when you're looking straight at it, so it looks like that. Okay, I was holding it like that, but it looks like that. Um, and so right here, from point to point, there's a flat plane, and then there's two angles. You don't see the two angles because it's so small that all you see is that flat plane on top,
Oh,
and a
okay.
picture is painted on the flat planes. So you see that. And when you look to the left or right, it shows a completely different picture because on this side of the angle and this side of the angle are two different perspectives, two different views. So in the front one, you can have the color blue spread across the sheet that you're looking at. And on this one, red, and this one, green. And when you go like that, all you see is red. And when you go like that, all you see is green, but in the middle is blue.
That's pretty neat. And
Yeah,
for
it's
those in the podcast, you were basically holding your hands in an angled form so that they would form a flat surface on the top.
yeah, and on the side, it's like a flat pyramid, like a flat triangle. So, and you would, and that's what these 3D holograms can kind of do, but they're doing it at a nanoscale and using some other technology. They say the metasurfaces are incredibly thin and lightweight, approximately 1/100th of the thickness of a human hair, making them promising. It's basically that same thing, except they've increased the resolution. Oh, and there they go. In the experiments, the team's metasurface generated distinct 3D holographic images at angles of both plus 35 and negative 35 for left circular polarization, right circular polarization. So, remarkably, the team achieved the production of different images for incident light by using a single metasurface contingent on the specific polarization. So, the angle of attack of the light.
So, could this be used in a way to distort what people are actually seeing in
Oh, for
front of
sure.
them or something?
For sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Depending on how it is actually produced, an image can be projected onto the meta surface from behind, and you would see three distinct images, or at least in their representation, they're saying left and right negative 35 degrees, or I should say positive and negative 35 degrees. So, but they're actually saying three-dimensional holograms from various directions. So it says notably the holographic display demonstrated an extensive viewing angle of 70 degrees. That whole plus 35, negative 35. So it's pretty neat. I kind of dig this. The only difference between what we have now and then with this and past technologies is the resolution. and how small it is. You'll be able to do more fine detail.
Well, and the higher resolution, the more realistic,
Correct.
right? The
Yeah.
more immersive.
The more immersive for sure. I'm hoping that one day we'll have 3D holograms that are kind of like this, where you get to see what you need to see, and it's in 3-dimensional space. It's not a flat plane. Right now, all you see is a flat plane, and when you move left or right, depending on the technology used, you see a slightly different flat plane, and your brain tweaks it into being a 3-dimensional model. Anyway, we better keep going. The next article is over
There
in
was a
reality.
movie that was like that, but I can't think of what it was. Probably something cyberpunk.
Like Andor had a hologram. There's a lot of
Maybe there
sci-fi.
was something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot of sci-fi movies. Like even Back to the Future had, in the future when like Biff Tannen had taken over everything, a shark zooming out of the clock tower or something like that, and it was like Jaws 35 or whatever. Um, and so that kind of hologram is what I am waiting. I would love to have that. The closest that I've seen to that is either really small displays. And let me just back up. Really small displays, but they're volumetric displays. So it's big. It's basically a dome, and there's something spinning inside it. And depending on how you're looking at it, it is a 3-dimensional model that is generated on this spinning table. But you can't touch it. You know that there's a big dome protecting it. It's really an ugly contraption. But like Hatsune Miku concerts, they have this huge hologram, but it is nothing more than a 2D model that's slightly warping your perception of what a 3D model is. Because behind it, you wouldn't see it like that. It would look just like you're looking on the front of it.
Right, right. It would look like Flat Stanley.
Yeah, yeah. Again, sorry if you are picking up the noise in the background. It's all part of a show that's going to highlight this kind of stuff.
There is an object in your hand.
Yeah, and for those again on the podcast, yeah, I printed something in green PLA with my new printer, and well, it doesn't show up when you have a green screen. Anyway, let's keep going. The next article is over in and if you want today's show notes, you can get them out of ohmTown by typing in ! and then RH Reality Hacker, and it'll spit the articles out in the order that we're going through them. So let's keep going. The next article is over in Reality Hacker, bringing real-world sensors and VR to improve building maintenance. A new system that brings together real-world sensing and virtual reality could make it easier for building maintenance personnel to identify and fix issues in commercial buildings that are in operation. So the article is over at Science Daily, again, sciencedaily.com. Essentially, as they want, I interpreted this little bit of detail because I haven't read the article. We don't read them, or I don't read them until the show. Sometimes the Sentient AI does. Otherwise, they're submitted to me, and I just parse them quick here on the show. But the past work that I've done basically related to the efficiency of people going through a building and doing checks and maintenance and monitoring for security and things like that. Oh, wow. And your bandwidth just kind of dropped. Well, anyway, it says the system was developed by computer scientists at the University of California, San Diego, and Carnegie Mellon University. The system is dubbed BRIC, consists of a handheld device equipped with a suite of sensors to monitor temperature, CO2 airflow, and it's equipped with a virtual reality environment that has access to the sensor data and metadata in a specific building while being connected to the building's electronic control system. So when an issue is reported in a specific location, a building manager can go on site with the device and quickly scan the space with the LiDAR tool in their or on their smartphone, creating a virtual reality version of the space.
Okay, this is really neat.
I don't know why they would do that. at the time, but it says the scanning can also occur ahead of time, which anybody who deploys this would be smart to do it ahead of time. Once they open the mixed reality recreation of the space on a smartphone or laptop, building managers can locate sensors as well as the data gathered from the handheld device overlaid onto that mixed reality environment. What I ran into is once a person has been on site long enough, they know where everything is because they have to deal with that crap all the time. And so this would be absolute overkill, but job training would be
But
very
it would
fast.
also allow almost anybody to operate this, which would be good because if, the person that puts the bolts in is on vacation or whatever.
I think that's always going to be too soon. Always. Nice. Yeah, so exactly. And so what it would allow is somebody who's never been on site before, but is a subject matter expertise in building maintenance or whatever it is that they're deemed responsible for, they could just show up like as a contract gig, solve the problem and get the hell out of Dodge and not incur a sustained financial burden to the organization. Now, this has the potential to take jobs. How you feel about that and how somebody else feels about it is something different, right? So by contrast with Brick, the building manager can directly go to the location equipped with a handheld device and or a laptop or a smartphone or whatever it is that's necessary. They will immediately have access to the location and the building management system data and the location of the sensors and the data from the handheld device, all overlapping in one mixed reality environment. This is a reality hack.
Oh, absolutely. I think the other strong application of this is in an emergency, right?
Sure.
Minutes matter, seconds matter, and if you can quickly locate something, I mean, I understand if it's just the temperature's up 1 degree or whatever, but that could be a big deal depending on what's housed in that building.
Yeah. And if you're an immediate responder and you have that access, you can have read only access and not be able to manipulate anything. But imagine some type of an emergency, your phone becomes a portal to an alternate reality where you get to see something that might be able to solve a problem. Where is the shutoff valve? Where is the gas lines? Where is this or that or the other? Um,
Where is there tremendous heat or whatever?
yeah,
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 absolutely.
yep. So pretty amazing. And with augmented reality instead of VR, this the phone or your device, even VR glasses, augmented reality glasses that are tapped into that system would overlay exactly where that data is. So pretty amazing stuff. It's pretty cool. And the thing about this is all of us that are in science fiction, into science fiction and deeper into technology, we've seen this kind of stuff before. We've even talked about it with firefighters where they get a three-dimensional map of the structure that they're going into so that they don't have to stumble around in smoke, fire, haze, and whatever else, right? Looking for the stairs or whatever might be going on. They know because they've got all that data right there. So this is pretty cool stuff. I love this kind of stuff. And this is what I am looking forward to where I'll be able to don. Oh, by the way, I bought the X-Real glasses. I've tried them. They're heavy. They fell off my face. They got hot. Um, and they're really a consumer product, at least right now. When I have the ability where I can use a keyboard and a mouse or a trackball seamlessly and work with the X-Real, then and it has the ability to do hand detection, so finger detection, so I can activate stuff and I can put objects perpetually in my augmented reality space, and it can work with beacons to transmit data onto my field of view. That right there is what I'm looking for, and that would be this. This transmits data to me, and I would be able to see it in my AR glasses. So
Right. So it's not that the X Real isn't good, it's just not
my use case.
what you need it for. Right.
Yeah. And it's definitely not light enough to be average consumer grade product, but I love it. Now they have another product that's coming out next year, which is kind of dampening my desire to have this older tech to begin with. Even though I truly understand that new every two is a standard phrase, but it had too many faults for my use case. But consumers, man, the world is going to be very interesting as long as we don't, wet the bed on our way to this. The future could hold some really bright technology for consumers. Anyway, let's keep going. The next two are really interesting because talk about reality hacking. So a couple of years ago, when AI really hit the ground running, I ended up giving a talk about creating content using nothing but AI. So writing lyrics with AI, writing books with AI, creating art with AI, creating music with AI, and keeping that continuity so that you're basically creating a whole world. Well, an indie rock band, quote unquote, that appears to be entirely AI generated is making alarming amounts of money on Spotify.
Does
Well,
anybody even know it's AI, and does anybody care that it's AI?
and that's kind of the argument here. And it's something that I said in a previous episode of Non Sequitur News. If you can't tell the difference, does it matter? It's a quote out of Westworld, really, the very first episode of Westworld. The person that's introducing them to Westworld says, if you can't tell the difference, does it matter? Well, it says, while real artists struggle to earn money on Spotify, a seemingly AI generated quote unquote band has garnered enough streams to actually make a buck. Now, the problem with streaming is the same problem that musicians had with radio, except now there's greater accountability on the streaming side because you know exactly who's listening to every single track. Whereas radio was, here is our estimated reach, and here we're paying the various.
Right. And the artist didn't have any way to verify that.
Right. And in bygone age, the musician is the author of the work from A to Z. They're writing the music, they're writing the lyrics, they're singing the song, they are the musician themselves, or it's a small group of 5 people or whatever. But if you pull up popular tracks nowadays, there's a whole host of people that are involved in it. And when there are few and they go viral, they make, pardon my slang, a shit ton of money. Okay? But it's always been a fact that sales of the record make them money, but live concerts make the bulk of their money. So why do you think people go out on tour? It isn't because they're happy with all of the money that they're making via the streams and via the sales. It's the live concerts where they're making bank on it because it's their music, they're singing it, and while they may they have to pay a fee because of a sync license to the creators of the music, the authors of the music. It's their work, and so they make the most of the money there. That is my understanding of it. If I am wrong, let me know in chat. Let me know in the comment section over on YouTube. But that is how I've been walked through this, and I'm very interested in the field. I'm just not following it, as a career. So, as Music Ally reports, the act in question, The Velvet Sundown, recently appeared out of the blue on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Deezer, and even YouTube, despite having no digital footprint prior to this summer. What does that matter? Some people never existed, and then they hit the ground, and because they make great music, they go viral.
Right, or they're a one-hit wonder or whatever.
Whatever. Yeah. So, despite being so seemingly young, the Velvet Sundown, whose name is a clear ripoff of Lou Reed's legendary psych rock band, The Velvet Underground, no.
Not necessarily.
Right. You're looking for conspiracy here. You're looking to create.
Unless the profile says that or something. We don't know that.
Perhaps with a mix of Sunset Rubdown, a predecessor to indie freak band Wolf Parade, has racked up more than 550,000 listens this month. So the article is by Noor Al-Sabai over at Futurism under a tag they call Slopstick. I like that. Anyway, there's no way these guys are real, is what the article says. I guess this is one of the pictures, the Velvet Sundown. Update: the band initially claimed not to have used AI, but the project's creator then admitted he had been fibbing and that the music had been generated using AI. Now, I've talked about this previously last week, and because I had seen this pop up, and I'm like, okay, but if you can't tell the difference, does it matter? Despite being so seemingly young, the Velvet Sundown, whose name is a clear ripoff, has 550,000 listens this last month, pulling in vastly more than either Sunset Rubdown or Wolf Parade. But that's because those are old and they're maybe not interesting anymore to people of this generation. But the Velvet Underground is
Right, it
putting
probably
together.
has like a continued following, I'm sure.
Yeah, this is the one that's the passion project. They're following it. They're interested because some song spoke to them or whatever. But that may not be the case here. And this is what really has always been the case. My understanding is radio in the past had less return on the investment because the price per stream or for radio play was different. So it wasn't 0.003 to 0.005, and they could play whatever they want, and they could just have to account, and certain people would be auditing them, and if you got fined, you got fined, but whatever. So they say with Spotify's per stream payouts ranging from 0.003 to 0.005, those streams alone could be garnering thousands of dollars per month. Again, what does it matter if somebody put it together and somebody is speaking to somebody? Well, a lot of people are like, if it ain't made by humans, then it's all a lie and they're stealing.
Right, we've
I'm
seen
not
the
quite
same
sure what they're
thing with
stealing.
visual art.
Right. And it's built off of the backs of hardworking humans. Okay, well, I mean, 550,000 listens. If it continues,
But are those actual listens?
and that might
Because
be
there's a
something
reference
else.
to that somewhere in the article.
Yeah, they say there's a non-zero chance that bots play a role in that listenership too. So first flagged by Redditors, perturbed by the band's appearance in their Discovery Weekly playlist on Spotify, didn't take much surface scratching to reveal the act's probable nature. So for one, none of its purported members, Gabe Farrow, Lenny West, Milo Raines, and Orion Rio Del Mar, appear to exist, save for a defunct Instagram account for a cat bearing the name Milo Raines. Neither music ally, it's ally, right? Nor futurism could find any digital footprint for any of those names prior to June 2025. That is telling in that maybe they're really
They're
good.
off the grid.
Right. They're really good at hiding. I mean, for instance, I got involved in a project where I kind of, I don't know, at this stage of the game, based on what happened, maybe I coerced them into joining the partnership to bring something online. And the moment that they confirmed their account, they got tied to somebody else in virtual space that they've never interacted with. And the person had never had an online account other than a commercial account with a service provider, not social media in any freaking way. None, zero, zilch. And Google, the moment they confirmed the account, because I was standing there, the moment they confirmed the account, it tied them to somebody in real world. And that was the immediately most unsettling experience that I've ever had involving technology, because you did not know that there was that fast of literal collusion
so much
of
like
data
collection, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was fascinating. And so I said, all right, we're done with this project. And I summarily dismissed the project. Okay, just, I took it out to the shed. Anyway, so perhaps the greatest tell about the band
That went
as
dark.
Sterogum, noted is a rapturous blurb that previously appeared in its Spotify bio that was attributed to Billboard, but never appears to have actually run in the storied music publication. And that right there becomes the biggest problem. They
Yeah, I agree, because
lied.
there's something real world to bounce it off of, right? The other
Yeah.
stuff is kind of like the absence of information, which
Yeah.
suggests something's off, but doesn't mean that it is.
Right. But then you suddenly say, well, Billboard said that we have rave reviews, and you talk to Billboard and they're like, we don't know who the hell these people are. So now you're a fraud. You're not just faking till you make it. You're trying to imply that others know about you and that you deserve praise. And it's basically all four pillars of the music industry. Right there, Billboard. No.
Oh, yeah. But I like the fact that the review makes it sound like it's AI. Look at the quote.
They sound like the memory of something you never lived and somehow make it feel real. The faux Billboard review read. Yeah, I love that. So it says, unfortunately, only Deezer and YouTube actually mark AI generated content. So even if the platforms acknowledge that the band is fake as heck, they say, users won't be warned. But again, if you can't tell the difference, the problem is that there's a lot of people that are like, well, it's built off of hardworking musicians. Well, the hardworking musicians aren't making bank via streaming. They're going to be making bank off of live plays and social interaction and whatnot. So I tell people, trust but verify. If all you ever want to do is listen to music that you know is generated by that singer, you had better go look at all of the information about every single song, because I guarantee you that singer.
Right, they have co-writers or other writers, and they might not even be involved at all.
Yeah, they could have raised up their garage and put out a flyer on Craigslist and said, I'm looking for a I need a guitarist for a weekend concert. And it's the first time they've ever seen that guitarist. But it's not their band, it's only the singer. And eventually, they rise to provenance. But this is AI, it's all tech, it's whatever. And if people appreciate it, they like the music, it's the people that give that music soul, not necessarily the musician, because you have to understand, you have to interpret what that musician is saying.
True. Well, and they're going to have a hard time touring if they're AI. Not impossible, given Hatsune Miku.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. So, yep. I don't know, man. People will burn buildings down because Hatsune Miku cancels a concert.
Okay, nobody should be doing that.
Don't do that. That's dumb. Let's keep going. Our last article for Reality Hackers over in Rounders Gear. Purportedly fake lottery winners planted across UK media. Press Gazette investigation questions accuracy of recent lottery stories, and a PR firm reportedly supplied similar articles to multiple UK outlets. All were linked to an online gambling company, Play Casino. So a spate of news stories profiling lottery winners that recently appeared in the UK mainstream media have several common denominators, and it's all marketing reality hack.
So is it, for instance, suggesting that a real person won, which is then giving them false expectations, or is it giving the impression that somebody won, giving somebody else an incentive to gamble or play the lottery, etc.?
Yeah, let's find out. So Philip Connoller over at casino.org put the article together. Basically, it says, for instance, Mark and Laura Hayes from Ayrshire in England were reported to have to be quote unquote gutted that their 7-year-old threw their winning ticket out with the trash. Meanwhile, Gareth Thomas from Cardiff, Wales, also declared himself to be gutted after winning a £500 scratch card that was eaten by his dog. Fortunately, Play Casino was on hand to offer the poor souls some SEO boosting advice, which was published with a link to its platform. Mark Hayes looks suspiciously like Gareth Thomas in the images published in the two separate news stories after further digging by the Gazette suggests that none of these people actually exist. It's all marketing, it's all smoke and mirrors, it's all a reality hack trying to make people believe that Play Casino was doing something good for the people that lost their winnings this way or the other, but it's basically pumping up the provenance of Play Casino. So reporters' attempts to contact the purported lottery winners went nowhere, and they were unable to find corroborating public information about the individuals or the claimed lottery wins, and none had any kind of online presence. Maybe they're in the band.
I think they are. I mean, they similarly shun social media.
So, according to the Press Gazette, when the reporters contacted Signal the News, the PR agency denied the stories were fake, claiming they had been authenticated and verified. By who? You need a notary public to prove
Maybe
people
by
now.
the band members
Exactly.
or the other lottery winners.
So, Signal the News declined the Gazette's invitation to track down some of the featured winners to prove the veracity of the stories. Wow. So, it's all bullshit. PR firm gets nasty. It says, please be advised that publishing our images after they say, publishing our images after receiving this notice removes any defense of innocent infringement and significantly increases your liability under the Copyright Designs and Patents Act 1988. But not in the discourse of public interest.
Yeah, like, hey, this is fake. Wait, you're publishing our images with it. I
Right.
think that's kind of missing the point.
Yeah. And not just missing the point, but misunderstanding the legal leverage that you're flinging at somebody. So yeah, we will also notify your infrastructure providers, Fastly Incorporated and Pantheon, requiring your immediate removal of the infringing content. So they're basically threatening their entire platform.
Right, but they don't even, assuming these are AI generated, right? They don't even have
Right.
copyright on these things to begin with, and then they're going after other people for it.
Yeah.
I mean, we
But
don't
we don't
really
even
know, but
know.
that's what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if it's all fraud and the investigative journal, this is why we need strong investigative journalism. Otherwise, you're being
And local
lied to.
investigative journalism.
Yeah. Every small town needs investigative journalists that are impugned. Like they cannot be impugned. They cannot be threatened by the law. They cannot be threatened by government. They cannot be threatened. They have the ability and defense, immediate defense. But you know what? As I talk to people about this, having a press pass gives you nothing. Being a member of the press gives you nothing. The only thing that you have as an investigative journalism is your street smarts, because you can get arrested, thrown in jail, quote unquote, for trespassing, even though you didn't trespass, or assault, even though you didn't assault anyone, or whatever. And the provenance of the institution is what bails you out of jail so that you can defend yourself. Otherwise, you can wither away in jail because of an abusive infrastructure. And it can come from a company like this saying, we're going to target you if you target us, even though what appears to be fraud is not a legal defense for the fraud. You can't benefit from your lies. But fake it till you make it. It's just really interesting because it's a PR company
Publish till you're determined that you didn't publish legitimate information.
Publish for profit.
Or become a band until you were determined not to be a band.
Yeah. This is really cool. I like that Philip Connolly put this out there. Even if it is like a proxy article from other places, this is knowledge sharing, this is information exchange, and this is what the internet is really for. So I love this. Anything else? Did you want to have to say anything about this? No? Right on.
No, I mean, we just have lots of examples of reality hacking here.
Yep. And it's a fun show. All right. We're going to go back to, we're going to hack our way back to RealityHacker over at ohmTown.com. Don't need a PR company for that. Well, not one that's going to lie to us. But, I don't know. Maybe they're not lying. They can't. Nobody can confirm anything.
We don't know what's exactly. Everything's the absence of information. Although the band one at least seemed to have a fake review article associated with it, but the lottery one, but they couldn't find the people.
Exactly. Yeah. I think they're the band. All right. Let's get out of here. We'll see you in a little bit. We're going to shut down this show, and then we're going to come back for Wanted, which is a gadgets and gear show. And then after that is the Continuity Report, which is all about entertainment news. And I'm going to fix that right there and that right there. No? Is that oversharing?
Yes. Inside baseball.